I'm Mrs. Pasquan, and I wanted to review a few colored pencil techniques that you might use in your artwork today. The first one is called Scumbling, and it's kind of fun because it really is just scribbling. Depending on the colors you choose and how many layers of scribbling that you do, you can use this technique either to just add a beautiful texture to your work, or you can use it to show value if you're trying to make your objects look three-dimensional and you add more layers of scumbling on one side of the object than the other. It can give it a really nice 3D effect. For this building, I'm layering yellow and a few different values of green colored pencil right on top of each other to add a nice texture to the building. Well, what I'm trying to do is get rid of all the white paper. So this really is going to take 3 or 4 layers if I am going for that effect. The next technique is called burnishing. Whenever you color really heavy layers of colored pencil one on top of the other until, again, you get rid of whatever color your background paper is, it's called burnishing. If you do it right, the colored pencil is almost going to start to have a waxy feel to it. Now, if you burnish 2 different colors, one on top of another, you can try the next technique, which is called scraping. I'm using a tool that's really made for doing scratchboard art, but if you don't have one of these, you can just try using a paper clip and you'll get a similar effect. I've also had better luck if the bottom color is lighter than the top color. And you also want to have a good contrast in between your colors if you want your design to show up. So I'm just using hatching lines and I'm kind of making my building have stripes going vertical stripes and horizontal stripes. And the idea is that it's going to look like the windows on the side of the building. Now it's time to try adding a little baby oil. Baby oil dissolves the pencils just enough that you can do some blending. So to show you how it works, I've made a pattern out of just little sort of dotted lines with a dark blue pencil. I'm going to dip the Q-tip into the baby oil. I don't want the Q-tip to be soaking wet. I'm just going to dip it in really quick. And if I color sideways, you're going to notice how it blends those lines. You can still see the lines, but that whole shape is going to be a light blue, and then the lines will still show up that nice dark blue. Directional lines are another way to add interest to your work. You might want to use these lines to maybe add the texture of fur on an animal, or maybe make it look like rain is blowing in from the side of your page, or it may just be to make a shape in your artwork look a little bit more interesting. So just like anything else with colored pencils, you can layer. So I did 1 layer of directional lines with orange, and I could have left it that way, but I'm doing another layer with yellow lines that I'm trying to fill in some of those spaces to make that whole shape a nice bright orange. The next technique is called cross-hatching. Basically, if you do directional lines in one direction and then you do another layer of directional lines going in another direction, it's called cross-hatching. Again, this is a technique that adds texture, or it also can add value. You can use it on the side of a cube. If you do a lot of heavy cross-hatching, it's going to make it look darker. It can help make your shapes look more three-dimensional. Another way to get rid of some of that white background color is by adding a watercolor wash. You can either lay down a texture or a pattern with your colored pencils first and then try painting the watercolors over the top, and they will, if your color pencil is thick enough, it will resist the watercolor just like when you use crayons. Or you can paint a wash with watercolor, let it dry, and then add the colored pencils over the top of the watercolor. It's worth trying it both ways just so that you can tell which one you like better. You'll notice on this one, the watercolor was a little bit too dark, so I grabbed a paper towel and I just dabbed it to lighten it up so that I could see those colored pencil lines again. The last technique I'm going to share with you is called gradient, whenever you blend your colors from light to dark. It helps to put down the lighter color first. I'm going to do a layer that's sort of heavy on one side and gets lighter as I go to the other side of my shape. I know that on the other side of my shape I'm going to make it the dark side, or in this case I'm using sort of a dark pink, and I'm going to color a layer of pink on that side. And then I'm going to keep adding layers because I don't want it to be stripes. I want it to be a smooth gradient. So now I'm going to go in with orange because red and yellow makes orange. That color in the middle, if I was using paint, would probably look orange. So I've got my yellow on one side, my pinkish red on the other side, orange in the middle. And then to make it even look more smooth when I'm all done with that, I'm going to go back to that yellow color pencil and go over the top of all three colors. And that final layer is going to be the one that helps to make the whole thing look like a nice smooth gradient. Hopefully that's enough to get you started. Make sure you find a copy of the handout to use as a reference while you're working, and have some fun with this. I'll check back in with you soon. See you later.